In this session, I'll explain uh, release planning. So we know that there is we already discussed about a product backlog. So a product backlog is a list of entries of features that may or may not get into the product. So we call it as the product backlog, PBL. Stands for product backlog, and this is maintained by the product owner. Now, at this stage itself, we may do a high-level estimate with the help of experts. So let us say this particular feature one, let us say it has a story point of 1, this is a 3, this is a 1, this is a 5, 3, 2, 5, etc. And if you have, let us say, put together, if you have, let us say, 100 story point for the product backlog, now we have to decide how to translate or how to convert this into the final product. So if we make an assumption like every sprint, if you can do 10 story points, if there is an assumption we can make, then we know that in 10 iterations, in 10 iterations, we will be able to complete the product. So iteration 1, iteration 2, iteration 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So in 10 iterations, we must be able to complete the whole thing. And each will have features worth 10 story points each. So from this, we distribute the features into sprints. And by and large, we ensure that every sprint is loaded with on an average of 10 story points. Okay, so and now in Agile, at the end of every sprint, we have at the end of every sprint we have a sprint review. But a series of sprints will end up in a release. So let me use a different color here. So a series of sprints will end up in a release. So let us say here we have release 1, then 4, 5, 6 put together we have release 2, and maybe here we have a release 3, and here it is the final product. Final product. So this is release 1, release 2, release 3, release 4. So every sprint, at the end of every sprint, we have a sprint review, but some sprints will end up in a release. So we call this as a release sprint. Release sprint. So in every release sprint, we deliver an increment of the product to the customer. So the whole process, we call it as the release planning. The whole process we call as the release planning. And planning the project from start to finish, we call as the roadmap planning. So we discussed about release planning and the roadmap planning. We started with the product backlog, and we estimated the story points for each feature in the prioritized product backlog. And we said that put together we have 100 story points, and 100 story points, and we are making an assumption that every sprint will be able to do 10 story point. That is an expert judgment. Then if that is the case, if I have to convert complete 100 story points, I need 10 sprints completing 10 story points each. Now we have to decide which feature gets into which iteration or which sprint, and a series of sprints will end up in a release, and a series of releases will end up in the final product. The whole exercise of prioritizing and sequencing the features into sprints, into releases and sprints, and the final product, we call as the first step is end-to-end planning is the roadmap planning. And planning up to a particular release, we call it as the release planning. I think this makes it clearer to you. Thank you very much.